Then I'm going to do this.
Folks, I'm going down to St. James Infirmary. See my baby there, she's stressed out on a long white table. She's so sweet, so cold, so fair. Let her go, oh bless her. Wherever she may be, she will search this wide world over, but she'll never find another sweet man like me. Now when I die, bury me in my straight leg breeches, put on a box back coat and a Stetson hat. Put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain so you can let all the boys know I died standing pat. Then give me 6 crap shooting pallbearers. Let a chorus girl sing me a song. Put a red hot jazz band at the top man so we can raise hallelujah as we go along. Folks, now that you have heard my story, say, boy, hand me over another shot of that blues. If anyone should ask you, tell them I got those St. James Infirmary blues. Let her go, oh bless her, wherever she may be. She will search this wide world over, but she'll never find another sweet man like me. Folks, I'm going down to
Fantastic, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Huggy Show with your man, Huggy. So, we have a great show. I'm not going you see the title. You know the face. Please welcome Cat Lady. Hi, Cat Lady. Welcome to the show.
See if it'll get me sideways. There we go.
Look, yeah.
Did it work?
Yes. Hi.
Okay.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be part of the show. For those that don't know, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll get cracking.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to go horizontal. I don't know.
That's
I can't
fine.
tell if it did.
You're good, you're good,
Did
you're
it go
good.
horizontal?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Perfect.
So yeah,
Okay.
just tell us a little bit about yourself before LCU and what got you into the LCU.
Well, before LCU, I worked primarily. Well, I had worked. I'd been spending the last 10 years working contract work. But prior to that, I had decades long like a career in like digital type media and running media corporation. But what got me into the LCU was my husband. He was really into it, and of course, I'm a huge consumer of what's UGC, which is like user generated content. I have like a huge belief in it, and like I've always watched most of the creators who were in the original situation. So like Tommy, DSP, Boogie, Keemstar, and Wings. So when my husband was like, "Look what they're doing," and it was before the cancer arc, it was pretty close to the beginning, and then the cancer arc happened. I mean, we were immediately sucked into it because who wouldn't be, right?
Of
That's
course.
crazy. Oh my God, right? You know, this
Yeah.
guy. like we've been watching for however many years, like not only fake cancer, but he's also done like this crazy fat coin thing, and he's making fun of everybody who bought it. Like, you couldn't not watch, right? If you were a consumer of like internet, like beef.
Of course.
And you know, we watched for a long time. I didn't like actually get onto the Discord or anything, but my husband was always part of the Discord when they started that, and I would just every once in a while kind of look at this Discord stuff, and I had never really just used Discord and except for in like workplace, like for a workplace communication central thing. So it was very interesting to me how people communicated there too. And so eventually I was just, I told my husband, I do all of the things that these docket people do. I do all of the things that like every single job there. I do all of this stuff. And I'm so inspired artistically by it, right? Like I was making paintings and like songs and things like that. And I was like, I should join this. And initially, I just wanted to be part of the docket. And at one point in time, Keem, who I don't know if you remember, Keem used to be very hard on dockets. Like he could literally
Oh
just
my
take any
God.
docket. And the next day he was like, everything's fucked up because you capitalized the wrong letters and I'm dyslexic and can't read it.
Are
You're
you
all
fucking
weird.
serious? Are you fucking
Yes.
serious?
It used to be so fucking crazy. And I was like, I could do all of those things. I should join that docket. And
Okay.
that's the first thing I tried to do. I was like, I'm going to join this docket. And he had offered that he would be paying people, $1,000 a month. And I was like, thinking about it. And I was like, I do contracts. I basically take small short term contracts doing this, doing all internet kind of stuff. And I was like, it would be just like having an additional contract, like the way I stacked them. And so I tried to join, and he had said to contact like this weird, like zombie clown person. Anyways, long story short, it took me forever to get a hold of somebody, and I finally got a hold of D Money, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put you on there as soon as this episode is done." So he puts me on there like 15 minutes before an episode one day, and I left the house right before live started to go get Subway sandwiches. I have like a whole like infamous thing that Phantom loves talking about that I did a song and a whole thing about it. But long story short, he fired the entire docket. I was like 15 minutes on the docket. I never got to do anything and I'm already fired. Like what the fuck? And I told my husband, I was like, forget about this. I'm gonna do a whole thing on it. I created a song, a video, a whole like situation on it. And I was like, because I could do anything any of those hosts can do. I can do any of that. And eventually, like in a few weeks' time, like not only was I an intern, not only was I on dockets, I was like, I became an intern, and a few days later, I went up on Queens, and it was a whole situation. And Tina, being Tina, she kept dragging me. And I said, you know what, fuck this. And I went up, I got a hold of Nightmare. I got on test and I just drugged the fuck out of Tina after telling my story. And right after that, Tina was like, hey, you're a host with Gidgy.
Oh
So that's
my
how I
God.
really started.
Oh my God. So, so okay, listen. When you and Gigi first got together, I was like, this is interesting. Because Gigi is very wild. Gigi Gigi is like a tiny dog with a big bite, and you in the beginning was like very quiet. You were just in the background. So how was that? How during that time during Rebel? Can you speak about your experiences working with Gigi, the process, the
Yeah, well,
shows and stuff?
in the very beginning, of course, I'd never been in this kind of situation. Like I had been on air, and done some of that for ad work where you're told exactly what you say, exactly what you're supposed to look like, how you move your head. I mean, like everything is controlled. And then I had also done, all of the news and entertainment news and all of those verticals, as well as advertising, where again, you have a script, you have things you can do, things you can't do, even when you do things on the fly, you have certain ways you can behave and not behave, right? Everything is very nailed down. So coming into doing on air in the LCU and doing drama and comedy, just what I call extemporaneous, you have zero guidelines, but I didn't really know what was safe, what I could do, what I couldn't do. And, I kept getting offers from King to be put on different shows because he kept saying, with Gidgy, you're not ever going to be the star, right? And it's true. But for me, especially because I have a very full in real life, right? Whereas a lot of people who are hosts don't have very much else except for what they do in the LCU. And so I knew I couldn't be that person available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I knew at that time that I could definitely be a second chair to Gidgy. And there was still a lot for me to learn from Gidgy. And I did. I learned so much working with Gidgy and basically her being my mentor, right? I mean, it is a fucking gift. And don't let anybody ever pretend it isn't, because until they get on camera and have to fill up the air all by themselves, right? That is a gift to be able to do that, right? Whether it's you just talking to the chat or whether it's just you talking for 5, 10, 15, let alone 2 hours. That is a skill that doesn't just come magically. You can't watch, you can't do a Coursera course and all of a sudden learn how to fill up 2 hours of time, let alone entertain anybody with it. So, I was happy to be there, but for the first little bit, like number one, I really didn't know what to do. Nobody tells you what to do or who to do or how to be. Like being a host, specifically in LCU content, is its own kind of thing to do. And beside that, I also have sleeping problems. Like I have narcolepsy, and I had problems with like my medicine and all of that. So we made a big deal. We just made a huge joke out of it about me falling asleep and stuff because of it. And it was actually, I mean, it was so entertaining to watch people doing things like taking like pictures of my eyes and like enhancing them and being like, what kind of drugs is she on? It's like, literally, I don't do drugs,
Oh my
but,
god.
but it was like so funny to watch how people will take just any little piece of information they see on air and like they believe they know everything about you. And there's so much to learn. And I got to a point where I got extremely comfortable. And then I got to a point where the power balance of it being all Gidgy, me being like just a second chair, a very quiet second chair, changed, right? Like I stepped into a new role. Like you can definitely, after you watch the episodes after I came back from, I had a new illness. I found out I was having small strokes, and I found out I had GBS, which is where all of a sudden for days at a time I can't move my limbs at all. And so I was gone for about 3 weeks, about a month. And I came back, and you can see that there's definitely a shift in just kind of like our positions there, where I kind of became the person who wrangled Gidgy. And, so not only was I learning some from her, but I had learned most of my lessons from her that there were to learn. But I was teaching her, right? Like I was giving into her life and her host ability and experiences and skills. And we worked so well together. Like I found a way through our personal camaraderie to help her gain the ability to say, I don't have to glaze people and this and that. But at the same time, like she had gotten to this position in Queens where she desperately needed to have Queens money. And Tina knew it. And Tina knew that no matter what she did to Gidgy, that Gidgy couldn't be honest about it. She had to be authentic about it. And even when I started, I at some point in time, Tina came on air onto Rebel, and the very first thing she did was start like shitting on me for looking old and being ugly, which I mean is always a joke to me when
wait.
you've got anything to say like
Tina,
about my
please.
appearance. Like
Tina,
I know,
please.
like Tina,
You
Everybody,
are
you're
hobbled.
literally on the screen with me.
Yeah, please. What the fuck are we
But
talking about? By the way,
you
real
know,
quick, wait, real quick, Haley. I have a theory. I don't know if you share the theory. You could confirm or deny it. But me and my peoples have a theory that the place that she records at, that's not her house. That's more of a studio. That she actually has a real house. That's all the pretty and stuff. It's just a studio. Like I don't know if you like. Do you have inclinations or am I?
well,
Do you think I'm bullshitting?
no, I'll be real. I actually believed in that conspiracy for a little while. I think I even said things on air about it. And then on air, she started making, like, there was a very short period of time where she would say, well, this isn't even my house, anyways. This is, blah, blah, blah. We live somewhere else, or we're getting a new house, or we're getting new furniture, or this and that. And I just came to realize that is like really actually her living. She lives there. But the thing is they don't know how to use money right. So they use money no matter how many donos y'all give her, and no matter how many donos you give to Albert, they're never going to use money in a way to improve their lives. They're going to use money to where they're ordering DoorDash. They're doing, ordering stupid shit that just gets destroyed. They just don't know how to use finances, and they're never going to get better at it. They don't care because as long as the money comes, it's disposable. And instead of investing in it in a real way, I know that just as I was leaving the um, the LCU, she started claiming that, oh, well, we're getting the house fumigated. Oh, well, we're going to get this and that improvement done. Oh, we're getting the cabinets done or whatever. I mean, she's been claiming they were going to get the cabinets done since weeks before Albert even did the live episode where he destroyed the cabinets, right? So it's hard to believe. She does the same thing with her health or like her teeth or something like that. She will drag that shit out forever. And she'll start saying, oh, we're getting this improved. We're going to get this improved. But you never actually see it happen. So I just think that like that shit's never going to happen until it magically does. Or like talking about getting it fumigated. And I think that she recently did an episode they called "We Got the Last Rat." Well, here's the thing is, until you get like that mobile home, okay, until you get like the work done on the infrastructure where there's no longer penetrations into the home, you're still going to get rats. You're still going to get bugs. None of that will change, right? Period. The first thing any kind of like pest control, if they come into your house, the very first thing they're going to tell you you need to do is to close all penetrations to your home and make sure that there's nothing near your house, like cut down any kind of like foliage or anything. Like they're going to tell you that's the very first thing you're going to do, because no matter what they kill, there's going to be things coming in and out of your house. You have to seal it. And, because they just throw money down the drain, I just don't see them ever making real improvements on their home. So I don't know.
Yeah,
As far
but
as I just don't see them living in any kind of actual home either, and just using that as a set. Because they do things like they go to the laundromat, they clean their clothes, and then they throw them all over the couches. And you see the kids, the guys. I guess I shouldn't call them kids because they're all like random adults over 20, right? You see them use the couches as closets. So they're
bro,
really
like,
living out of their laundry on the chairs and the couches and wherever it just gets thrown.
but what bothers me is that she's picking on you, and like you're doing some stuff, and meanwhile she lives like she's homeless. And I'm sorry, that's how you. Okay, the fact that you had Keemstar, Boogie, Lacey come in and disrespect your house, having Boogie like throw stuff. I don't care if it's a bit or not. That's your home at the ending of the day. Like, how would you like if Boogie came to your house, God forbid, and rub stuff on the wall? You were you broke or not, you would break his fucking back. I mean, that's the sentiment. But Tina don't give a fuck, and for her to pick on you, it just weird to me.
The thing is I think they've really cracked Tina in understanding that she just is very miserable, right? She's very miserable. And you can see it. I mean, there's not a period of time that she ever looks like she's not just completely miserable. And I think one of the things she really truly hates about me is when I initially shit all over her back, okay, she at that time was like a protected class. Nobody could shit on Tina at that time. Nobody could. And I just came in as somebody who was brand new and I just did it. I didn't care about how she was in some special class or bubble, okay? And I think she really resents that and she will resent it always. Um and then she's never been able to get one over on me because almost every single thing she shits on me for is something that actually applies to herself. And really, when you listen to her try to hate on me, you can hear her. Like she's literally hating herself through trying to shit on me. And, for example, when I was sick and I was gone for like 3 weeks to a month, she like shit on me while I'm not even there, right? Talking about how I lived in a trailer. Okay, well, first off, why is living in a trailer an insult? Nobody insults you because you live in a trailer. They insult you because of the way your home is
It
cared
looks
for.
shitty, my guy.
I
Pathetic.
don't even live in a trailer. Like I literally don't. I live in a house. So like you're literally trying to shit on me and saying I live in a trailer when between the two of us, you're the only one who fucking lives in a trailer. Hello? She's constantly burning herself when she tries to burn me. Or then like she's well, you use too big of words or you're too educated. Okay. I mean, like, excuse
Well,
me for choosing to invest of myself time to constantly be educated because I like to learn. Like, I don't know what
well,
she does with her free time, but
well.
fuck, open a book,
It,
go to a website.
well, you have Tina being Tina, and then your next arc was Joe Pesci. No, not Joe Pesci, Pesci. Now, I remember when Pesci was an intern,
Hmm.
and this was the first time I saw the not just cat lady, but I saw a lion lady. You went after this poor, not poor man, this fucking this man, and like you pressed him a lot. Like what were your thoughts on Pesci when he came to Rebel? And can you go over the situation where Pesci was being
Yeah.
incorrigible?
Well, when he was originally assigned to us, of course, Pesci had been trying to be an intern and trying to be, in fact, he had been an intern already and he had gotten de-rolled because he didn't have the time. He never did anything, right? He never went on any shows, nothing like that. And then he got intern again and he still wasn't doing anything. Then he was assigned to our show and he came on there and like all for some reason, like when he came on, his initial idea for him is he assumed that he was there to like give us some kind of like review. You know how you do like 3 month and 6 month and like year-long job reviews for like your
Peer
real
review,
workplace?
peer.
Yeah. Like and it was weird. It was like, okay, why would you think, okay, just bring me to whatever path of logic you took, okay, where Team is going, I want this guy who's never been a host and who has barely done anything while an intern to go on to Rebel and do a peer review. Like, just take me from that. Where's this leap? What fucking leap did you take? Okay, into what river? So I can figure out why you would think that somebody who has never done what we're doing would need to come peer review us in Keen's mind. Okay?
You guys were doing the show for like a good a long while, and then Pesci's like, I'm just here to look over. My guy, you're just there to be learning from the women, not you teaching that. That's like crazy. But please, I interrupt you. Go ahead, go ahead.
Absolutely. And he would do things where like I would be talking to him like even like right before the show and he would like talk over me or just like minimize what I was saying. And people didn't see it on the show very much because he did do it on the show sometimes, but he was behind the air. And then all of a sudden, Gigi was like, that one episode, she was like, you continue to shit on this woman. You must be misogynistic. Because, like, you listen to nothing she has to say to you and you keep talking over her and everything. Like, you're our intern. You're here to learn from us. You're not here to, run over everything. And people took it as her shitting on him, but they didn't see the entire equation, right? They didn't see the things behind the air. And like she was trying to get him, like she has a very specific way of how she does show plans. Everybody does, right? And for her, she's not into like a Google document that has like a whole like outline or anything like that. That's not how she functions. Um, so what we generally do is conversationally, we talk through what we're going to do. And he would not join any of those conversations. He wouldn't open any of them up. He had like no input whatsoever. And he would like show up to that 5 minutes beforehand when we usually kind of gather and just like make sure we're all on the same page with what we've been talking about for the last 24 hours is the next show plan. And he's just like, yeah, I just wanted to do this promo. I just want to do a promo. And it's like, what the fucking promo shit? Like, what is this? This isn't about where can we find some place where you can read something you pre-wrote that is like 5 days behind. What are you doing, bud? And
Exactly.
she was just fed up with it. And but people not knowing what was happening in the backside, just loved hearing him argue. And of course, the way I dealt with Gigi and in like I guess wrangling or changing how she was doing things is I did it in a way that worked for her, right? Like if she started glazing, I'd be like, okay, Gigi, we're starting to really glaze, aren't we? And she'd be like, oh shit, yeah, I am. Okay, let me rework that. And for a lot of people, that's they would overall felt like, here I was with my nose up her ass, right? But I'm not, my nose isn't up her ass. I'm just doing things the way that worked for her, right? Where she would hear. And when Pesci came on and he would confront things she was doing, right? Like Pesci had a very different way. He's like, well, you're fucking glazing, and it looked very confrontational and it brought in arguments. It didn't work. It instead created arguments. And people love to watch arguing, right? So for a while, it really worked. But then it became something that didn't work for the audience anymore. It just felt like arguing all the time, right? Because at some point in time, you get to the point where hearing people argue is fun and dramatic, right? But then nothing is ever in the end, um, nothing's ever fixed by it, right? Because really the arguing is neither person hears what the other is saying. And so that's why it eventually didn't work any longer and it was no longer creating donos, right? So then it was like, well, maybe this isn't the best combination, okay? Because there's no end to the arguing. It's just arguing because two people are starting to resent each other because neither will listen to the other, but it's because neither of them are speaking the way that either, like will actually listen to. But I did like him. I did work with him a lot in the back and try to teach him about what was actually happening because he only saw like the surface action. He didn't see what's happening in the back end or like, in the LCU, what you watch is multi-layered, right? There's lore, there's all of these things that are layered upon each other. And all he saw was the very superficial and he couldn't see like all the layers of cake between, right? Like a tiramisu. He could see the whole flavor of a tiramisu, but he couldn't see there's a layer of lady fingers that are soaked, and that's got to happen too. Or this mousse has to happen here, and you have to put like the coffee chocolate dusting. You know, the parts and the pieces.
Oh, so so did you watch the latest Pesci stream on Local Hero?
I haven't. I've been since I quit the LCU. I've been doing a little bit of a detox, so I don't watch very much right now. That's
Okay.
why my show. I'm not doing any of the news coverage. because I want to be able to come at doing the news coverage a lot without a whole lot of bias, and I want to be able to come at it without it being about um, everything I know from coming from being within the situation. Does that make
Real,
sense?
but you no. I'm gonna get to that. I'm putting a pin on that little point in a little bit, but I want to tell you why I asked you that. Pesci did a thing on Hero where, and you can speak about co-hosting and stuff in general. Pesci decides that he wants to get a Hero monetized because,
Okay.
as you know, Amberlyn Reed messed the whole thing up because of her nonsense, her and Angie, because they were demonetized or whatever the case is. He was so desperate for monetization that he kept the stream up while Boogie did the typical Boogie stuff. Suicide, idolation, slurs, me all the time. So I want to ask you this. First off, what's your opinion on Boogie's outburst, and what do you have any feelings towards Pesci keeping a stream with that type of disgusting behavior just so he could keep the watch times up so that channel in itself could be monetized?
Absolutely. Look, and it's one of the overall things that I've found. I'm really, even when I was still in the LCU, I was talking about it. It's very upsetting. Look, the LCU is a beautiful and a wonderful thing. But the reason so many people are becoming detractors and leaving, and so many people are upset overall, one of those things is that instead of being drama that's like entertainingly presented, it's becoming what are ways that we can be edge lords and what shocking ass things can we do that will just make people donate and watch. And that's a perfect example of it, right? Staying on air while somebody is sympathy baiting, suicide baiting, and just overall doing things that aren't entertaining, right? Those are things that are absolutely worrying. Now, most of us think that a lot of that is fake and game when it's coming from Boogie, sure, right? But number one, the bot doesn't know that. Okay, the bot doesn't know that kind of nuance. And number
Is that
two, it's disgusting behavior to know. Period. I don't care if you need watch hours. If you need watch hours, there are plenty of ways to get watch hours. You do not have to accept any of this disgusting fucking behavior that's in no way entertaining. It doesn't have value. And one of the integral changes because of the AI and all of that that YouTube has been making is talking about the quality of content and it being actually valuable. There's nothing valuable for a viewer in watching somebody sympathy bait or suicide bait. Nothing, period. And what it is absolutely disgusting. And I think that he knows better. I don't know what has happened to Pesci in the long run for him to come to a conclusion that he thinks it's acceptable to keep a stream on air because he knows that people will watch. Okay, boogie, suicide bait, sympathy bait, use slurs, and all of that. And I don't know why he doesn't understand that when that has to be taken down, right? Because that stream needs to be taken down because of TOS issues and if the bot catches it, right? So they don't get community strikes and put every single channel in jeopardy. Those watch hours are taken when it goes private. So I don't know where he's thinking that he doesn't like use good judgment and discernment, and where he doesn't care about the audience. He doesn't care about the quality of content, and he doesn't care that no matter what, that's all going to have to be privated and not count anyways. Like, where are you, my man?
oh? So my peoples did a count of the slurs. I want you to take a guess how many F slurs there were in that particular stream.
I don't know. Knowing Boogie, I mean, what, like 10, 15, 20? I don't
40.
know.
40.
40. As soon as
40.
people start donating and reacting to it, I'm sure he just keeps doing it.
40 F slurs roughly. And You speak about donations, right? Like you were in the midst of this whole I would call it humiliation ritual stuff. The using humiliation for donations. When you came into LCU, what did you think of it? What do you think of hosts at that time using food, their hair, their other body parts for donations?
So, I'm not going to ask you to go back to like way back when before I joined in October, but it wasn't like it is now. Um, you know, right around that time, Savage, think within that month, Savage and Tina did an episode, which is one of my top 5 episodes, okay? And it's a good example of this. They did the Roach and Swabby episode. Do you remember Tina dressed up as Swabby, Savage dressed up as a roach, and then like you paid to spray them with like flour or water or whatever it
Yeah,
was? You know,
interactive.
it's it's where like those would normally be considered humiliation rituals, right? But you knew that both women were in on the gag, okay? And you knew that they were consenting and they were happy to participate in the comedic activity. So it wasn't like a humiliation ritual to hurt or harm somebody, right? You just knew it was doing some of these things that nobody would normally do because it was fucking funny. That's how it's okay and different to do the food and all of that kind of stuff. People are in on the gag, they're consenting, and you know it, and it's supposed to be part of being comedic, okay? And for the enjoyment of the audience. But then these other examples where, okay, we're going to punish Tech by making him sit in a plate of food every single episode of Bus and then have to take a bite of it at the end. You could see he didn't consent because he said no to the point where he like quit over it, right? You can see where it wasn't funny and he wasn't in on the gag because it in no way, shape, or form had any natural connection to what had happened, what he was being punished for. He had no participation in it becoming something that he would do, and it had no comedic element. There's nothing funny. Do you think about somebody sitting on a plate of food and go, "Oh my god, that's hilarious"? No,
It's so fucking bad, cat lady.
it's just like what? And when you think of the overall purpose of it, it has nothing to do naturally with the punishment or with like being humorous. It has everything to do with internally harming the person you're talking about and making them feel as if they are being it's a D word, I can't think of it, but where they feel bad, like where they're feeling harmed and hurt, demoralized, right?
Demoralized, yes.
And that's where you see how like these humiliation rituals that are meant to demoralize the person rather than be like engaging humorous content. That those are two very good examples.
I could give you another. Okay, you remember? Okay, Eric. You remember Eric? Now you speak about not consenting or whatnot. I don't know how deep you were in that part of the lore of LCU, but did you remember when everyone said, "Eric, go take a shower. Eric, this, Eric, that." How do you think that the LCU is attracting people like Eric to come into the fold? And if so, what do you think of that trend if you do see it? And how and also one more thing, and how do you feel about people picking on Eric and making him feel the way he does?
Like, here's the thing about Eric, okay? He wasn't consenting, right? He wasn't in on the joke. He was in on it once or twice. But as it became something that was like over and over and over and over and over again, it became something that wasn't, I'm just here to entertain the audience and make a joke, to it became something that was, I'm being demoralized. so that you can get donations from people. Again, very clear line. You
Uh
can
huh.
see the difference. And he quit because at that time, during that, I guess, internship, as you want to call it, because it was no longer something where it was like, okay, haha, I don't take showers very often, and oh, you're telling me to take a shower, okay? And it became something like, I'm a disgusting human being who, like, is absolutely the grossest creature on earth, and you're having to be my hygiene cricket, right? Um, Now, as far as the LCU being a place like attracting people who have like neurological complexities, I don't think that the LCU particularly seeks them out. I think that for a lot of people with neurological complexities, it fits the bill. Like it's just something that they become entertainment. And I'm saying that as a person who has, I'm ADHD, which is, they used to have ADHD not underneath the autism fold, but that they used to label it that as if I have comorbidities between multiple neurological complexities. So I am in fact an Eric. Okay. You know, like I'm literally an Eric. I just am a different Eric because I have different places in my life or in my functionality, right, where it is effective. Uh, but I think that for people who have neurological complexities, a lot of us like certain types of entertainment. I think that the basis, just like the general basis and idea of having like a place of drama, right? That is comedically presented, which overall is what the LCU is supposed to be, right? That kind of content. Because just like wrestling, you're going to find a lot of people with neurological complexities like it too. And it's because there's a lot less nuance, right? It's easier to tell who's good, who's bad in a situation. It's easier to tell, right? Like who's angry and who's sad and who's happy and who's laughing and those things. It's a lot easier to be able to interpret, which makes it more enjoyable because instead of watching, a show that's about nuance, like say, I mean, like Friends, right? On Friends, I have to interpret a lot of the emotions that people are having if they're having more than one emotion. Whereas, like, if I'm watching an LCU episode, they are making sure that I know if they are happy or if they are mad or if they are sad or if they are celebrating because they say it, right? It's very exaggerated and very much one emotion being delivered to me.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. With that being said, like during that time in the LCU, would you have felt compelled to do humiliation donos, like shave your head, shave your eyebrows, or whatnot?
I mean, I definitely like I one time did shave my eyebrows. And it wasn't about humiliation because I was in on the gag. I made it. I made the goal. And you know, I was willing to accept the challenge of living without eyebrows until I got my eyebrows back, and it wasn't a punishment, right? And it was funny. And then I did funny things with no eyebrows, right? Like I used a whiteboard marker, and would draw different eyebrows on and different stuff like that. I made it an ongoing gag for people who are forced into something like, um, for example, when Becky shaved her hair, she was being demoralized. Absolutely, right?
Same with
You could
Glammy.
see it. She was crying. She was literally crying the entire time. And obviously, it didn't do its job because she left. She did whatever she wanted and she left. It was a punishment meant to demoralize and harm her. Uh,
Same thing with
and the
Glammy.
only thing it did, huh?
Same thing with Glammy. Glammy shaved her head out of frustration, and I think that's on the members only stream. That was tough too.
Yeah, because she didn't know how else she would quit getting people to stop hating her. She thought that demoralizing herself through shaving her hair off would finally um, do the job. And it did it. For a little while, people praised her for choosing to do it on her own. But, and this is one of the things that people in the LCU as hosts, they do something shitty and they think that they're going to be able to do something and then it's erased forever. But that's not how life works and that's not how accountability works. You do something shitty and yeah, you get a punishment and you do whatever steps in the future that you don't continue to do whatever you did. But people will always remember and you just have to be able to accept that yeah, I did this shitty thing with grace and that's part of learning accountability, which a lot of people in the LCU just aren't very good at.
So I do want to pivot real quick to your argument with steak. Like this is when you were getting feeling your vibe and whatnot, and then one day you came onto Local Live and you went after steak. Can you tell us about that and what your charges were against them?
My battle with steak started quite a long time before anybody who wasn't on the Discord even knew. I had for a long time, even before, I don't know if you remember when I went up because Nightmare was trying to be a community manager, and it was it obviously made me very angry that he even considered or was being considered for a community manager because he's not a person who is able to keep his own personal bias out of decision making, and he was not a person who exhibited having a quality of morality and ethics to begin with. Um, so it was not long after that I really was having a hard time with steak as well. And before that happened, I used to be able to tell steak, hey, I have this criticism of you. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And he, on the other turn, was able to say, like, oh, hey, well, I have this criticism of you. And I'd be like, okay, whatever, you know? But then all of a sudden, with Steak, he really had like this ego. His ego became its own character, I would say. And like he would do things in the Discord, like he would constantly mod abuse, which is really problematic. Like if you think it's okay to mod abuse people just because you have power and they're in the Discord as part of the community, then you should never be a person with that power. Period. Like community manager was being treated by him as a tool of entertainment for himself and power. But I really hate it when people treat community manager as anything more than what it really truly is. And it's supposed to be someone who helps the host stay in guidelines which are acceptable and who ensure the safety of our community members and our hosts for each other and for the Discord and the YouTube channel safety. So like mod abuse to me is tantamount to probably one of the worst things you could do just as an LCU host, right? Like, of course, as a sorry about that.
It's
So,
okay.
to me, as far as like things you could do wrong, we'll call it evil, but it's not really evil. I just don't know the right vernacular for it. But like the worst things you could do as a LCU host or a Discord member is use your powers as a mod to abuse people. It affects other people's show. It affects those people's lives. Um, and then he really started just lambasting like Iceman as if Iceman was the worst creature that you could ever become. Okay.
You have technical difficulties with Cat Lady. The LCU has found out she's talking to Huggy, and they've killed her internet. Oh my! But 1 second. hopefully we get Kelly back. 1 second. I think she may have to reset her internet. I think she has that reset. Okay, 1 second. Okay, you're back.
All right, here we go. Does that work?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I think Elsie has found us out, but go ahead.
Well, maybe is it working? Can I? My
You
camera
you
doesn't seem to be.
you're working. You're fine. You're fine. You can go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Well, Steak would use people like he was using Iceman to try to make himself as seem as if he was like the best of people, um, which is wrong. Oh, am I losing? I lost again. Are you losing me again? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. You're good. You're good. You're good. You go. If it happens again, I got a special program that has like it's called like this for a group. So if it happens again, it's fine. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just didn't like how he was using people to try to make himself look better. Like, I believe if you want people to look at you as if you're a great person, then that means you should do the things that a great person does instead of trashing somebody else to make them just look horrible next to you instead of, you know what I mean? And he was just using people and shitting on them while he was being as bad behaved as he could be instead of just being a good person to try to make himself look good. And I got tired of it, and it's just not something I accept. And he definitely didn't like being questioned. He definitely didn't like being criticized. And as soon as I started questioning and criticizing him with things he didn't know people realized, and as I started divulging facts and truth, and I just kept going further and further with giving more and more detail instead of being general because, you know, it's easy for him to wax away. Oh, well, she's just an old curmudgeon Karen. I'm not just an old curmudgeon Karen. I'm a person who's willing to say you don't shit on other people to make you look like a good person. You do good things to look like a good person. And you, in fact, don't do good things. And I'm going to start showing people all of the good, bad things that you do, period. And he knew that this was going to a much and much deeper place. I started on the very most superficial. And I think that a lot of him quitting had nothing to do with, well, my wife has to go back to work and, oh, this is happening and this is happening. So I'm just going to leave or like boogie and nightmare or anything like that. I think it really, he didn't want all of the facts and truths that he knew that I had to have to keep saying what I was saying and not backing down. He did not want those uncovered to the public, let alone the quote adoring public of the LCU and very specific donators, which he had created extremely toxic relationships with. Like you will notice there are very big donators that left and have never returned. And it's because of an extremely toxic relationship he built with them.
Like
They'll probably never
like
come back.
like toxic relationship. You don't have to name names or whatnot. But what do you mean by toxic relationship? Like was it like blackmail? What do you mean?
No, not like that, but making these people feel like they were part of his real life, right? Like,
Oh,
look,
okay.
I have wonderful donators. A lot of people have wonderful supporters, and I appreciate what they do. But you will always know that you aren't part of my real life, right? You don't know who my children are. You don't know who my partner is. You know what I mean? Like there will never be I'll never say, well, if you I'll never make you feel like if you keep donating and donating large amounts of money that you are any more part of my life than a wonderful community member that I appreciate, right? And he was making people feel like they were part of his very private and real life. Um, I don't want to go any further with that because he left, so that many of these things won't be uncovered. And I know he's participating with some of these people still, but since he's not part of the LCU, I feel as though it's not my right any longer as mostly an LCU creator, commenter, or reactor um, to continue. Does that make sense?
No, that's fine.
Because
I
we
mean,
were, yeah, I stopped. That's why I stopped divulging further and further information because at least he got out of the LCU and even like out of the surrounding area of LCU. So he was no longer a bad actor within this community and this content creation community.
what? Oh, by the way, so so can you speak about the whole weed thing and the PTSD?
Okay. Well, here's the thing. It's very, very hard in Texas if you just have PTSD to be able to get approved for the compassionate care registry. Okay. Now, if you have another diagnosis, such as the one he said that he had, it's almost impossible. But it's not impossible. Like there's 0.0001%, right? But you have to first prove that your diagnosis of schizophrenia is stable. But of course, on air, we watched. Um, I mean, like you could watch in 2 months' time more than 400 behavioral flags of instability of the schizophrenia diagnosis, and it doesn't matter which kind of schizophrenia you have, they're all behavioral flags for schizophrenia and the different types.
Yeah, I'm a paranoid
Um,
schizophrenic. Just to
you
put it out
are?
there. Yeah.
Hey, Tony, Tony,
Hey,
Tony,
how's it going, Huggy? How's it going, my friend?
Tony, give me a few, all right, buddy. Let me just
Yeah.
do this real quick. Okay,
Yeah.
but cause okay, this is Tony Rigatoni. He was on the internship.
A little bit about him, and
Well,
until I left the LCU and in the last week, I really didn't know very much about him at all until I guess I was, Belushi used to also be an intern and at one time a host and then an intern and in and out of the LCU. And I always supported him because
that's my
he,
baby
at the
boy.
same time as I started coming up, joining the Discord and
I had to
becoming
make sure you
somebody
weren't
who
gay
worked on
hopping him.
Socket.
I had to
Uh,
gefelt you. I had to
okay,
gefelt you. But listen, I had to
okay,
gefelt you.
so Okay, so and also somebody who like was coming into being an intern and a host and all those things. We did it at the
Is that
same
a
time.
bald
We were
spot?
doing it
Cat lady, is that
together.
a bald spot in the top of your head by chance?
Tony,
Hi,
hi.
cat lady. How's it
I,
going?
I
How's it going?
do you think
It's
that
been
you
a
could
while. No, I was just saying, how's it going, cat lady? It's been.
Oh,
see that you mute him? You've got to let somebody quit speaking and stop trying to speak over them and or anything. Just because you have access to getting on a stream doesn't mean you start talking over them or interrupting them.
I took care of it.
Anyway,
Here, so continue. To continue.
okay. So basically, other than like very vaguely knowing of Tony Rigatoni and like him being always be like, hey, cat lady, join the Rigatoni family, the Rigatoni family, you know what I mean, that whole thing. And then I think he was on test, I think, for a while, and it was
Yeah.
really funny because he looked like he was underwater, which I thought was a gimmick. I didn't know it was like a quality of tools or anything. I thought it was a gimmick, and it was really funny. But other than that, and then he like at some point in time was in between some kind of drama between like Ultra and what was her name, Lucy Goosey, and I don't know. There's some drama stuff with them there, and but other than that, I really didn't know much. I didn't know about him, and like I said, until I started watching Belushi as I got out of the LTU, and that's why I was supporting Belushi because of the us doing the come up and together and everything. And he also divulged a lot of his personal life to me in DMs, and I always felt very like sweet and kind and loving towards him in that way because a lot of the things sounded really hard to deal with, let alone while you were trying to, enjoy being a streamer or becoming a streamer and all that. And so, of course, when he said, "Hey, here's my channel. Here's I'm going to be streaming. Would you like to come watch?" And of course, I went to watch, and I have every time he ever has asked me because I will give my view numbers. I will chat and chat. I'll do whatever you need as a supporter. As far as that, I'll get your chat rate up. I will definitely subscribe. Whatever.
But
And then
well,
for
yeah,
some
go ahead, sir.
reason, oh yeah, for some reason, like Naz, who is another one of those people who like he was an intern for a little bit, and like during the days when they created the B circuit to be an intern training circuit, and he just like absolutely didn't have any of it. But he started shit talking me in this Belushi chat or whatever, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'll shit back and forth with you because it raises Belushi's chat rate. It's good for him, right? But then all of a sudden, it's like this weird. There are a lot of really small, strange places on the internet and communities where they're definitely not places that I want to spend any of my time. That it, you know, Tony would started doing this thing where he kept talking about me and saying also, I'm like, you're basically a complete and total stranger to me that I know like almost nothing about, but I don't know why you would talk about me or talk to me. It was very weird. It was very weird. So that's kind of something I've been dealing with since I left the LCU because unfortunately, like in being able to be wherever I want to be, talk to whoever I want to talk to, that means that people who have had issues in the LCU that I still want to be supportive of. Um, but I end up coming into whatever weird situations they've connected themselves to. And whether I like it or not, that means that you know, I sit there and I like learn about these situations and I'm like, okay, well, that's not something I want to participate in. Thank you so much. And I just find my way out.
Yeah, yeah. Listen. Tony is a really powerful character, and my bad for that. Not I didn't expect him to do that stuff, but if you're listening, listen. I kicked you because I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to build something here. Nothing against you and whatnot. So you'll come back, but let me handle my business. Thank you and much love. But I want to ask you, what's your view on parasocialism in the LCU? Because you spoke about like likely, like stay kind of get people to think they're part of his world. Do you think parasocialism is rampant in the LCU, and do you think it leads
It's a
into
very big
people?
issue.
Do you think it leads to people being exploited tremendously?
Um, Obviously, yeah. There's very particular hosts that have had and probably still do like real big problems with it. And but it is rampant because going 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, or however many shows or whatever, and then having the same people in chat and getting to know that you have, the same people who are in chat and then like being in a Discord where people have the ability to connect with you and have access, even greater access than just during a show to you. And then being pressured to believe that donations equals you're being entertaining, and that your primary purpose as a host of a show is to make donations. And that pressure and donations come from the people who watch, and the greater they feel they have a connection to you, a lot of times the greater the donations. It's all very much an equation to create extremely exploitative possibilities and parasocial relationships. Absolutely. It's very
Oh,
problematic.
did you feel like during your time in the LCU, did you feel like you had to ramp up your relationship with your at this point they're donators, financiers, or whatnot? Did you feel compelled that you had to do to be to get them into the fold to get donations and whatnot?
I'm lucky that as one of the hosts in the LCU, my entire living didn't center on the LCU, right? I have an entire living in a very real life outside of the LCU that has nothing to do with it. For me, the LCU was a very enjoyable hobby. and one that I'm never going to stop, right? It's like part of my life, but it's not like if it ended, I wouldn't have a roof over my head, or I wouldn't have friends, or I wouldn't have family members. And you know what I mean? But for some people, quite a few of the hosts, that's not true. It's their entire living, it's their entire social experience through life. And what's worse is that they're made to feel like, donations are their primary job. And so there's a lot of pressure for hosts. And absolutely knowing that the closer that donators feel like they become to you, that the more likely they were consistently and in a greater amount donate to you. Luckily, like I said, I have that ability to say, I will make a living, I will have a roof over my head, whatever. Nothing I do in my entire life outside of streaming is affected by streaming. So I really make a very big deal of it. I'm sure that it sounds kind of cringe how often I talk about how, I'm a person that you watch on TV. Hosts are a person that you watch on TV. Interns are a person you watch on TV. But even interns and hosts are basically strangers to each other, let alone a community member or an audience member, right? Um, but a lot of people forget that. And again, because of the donation aspect and making money, and that's the only way they make money, and you have to make even more because, if you get a donation, 30% goes to YouTube, then 50% goes to Keen. And then however many hosts you have on the show is divided by the rest. And then once you get that, you have to pay taxes. And I don't know about your state tax, but at least your federal tax is 35 to 45% of that. So you're not making hardly anything, right? So if you're only making, like, say, 10% of a donation, then you've got to really ramp up how many donations you're getting into. And it's part of the reason that I have a low donation show is because I don't have the pressure for donations except for making people believe my show is entertaining because they have confused the idea of donations equal entertainment, or making sure that my show continued because donations were so important to being able to have even a spot on the schedule.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to the LCU, they have a lot of people doing two, three shows a day just to make ends meet. It's like a fucking job at this point. And and like I feel as though like being part of the LCU is like a 24-hour job, 365. You always have to be on. And I'm not gonna be out here saying that it's fake or whatnot. Like, I mean, there are some obvious scripted moments or whatnot, but the fact, like, there was one thing that you had done on your other stream that I love, by the way, when you went after Turbo. Now, Turbo, first of all, like, you, during the fat camp, were you sick with your disease or were you just taking a break? I forgot what it was.
I was sick. I got walking pneumonia, and then like I got on top of it, I got like bronchitis. It's not. I end up getting walking pneumonia like once a year, and then usually when you have pneumonia, it's really easy to get other
Uh,
respiratory infections and stuff like that.
n-
And because of my health history, I am immune compromised, and it's something I'm very used to, getting sick.
Oh, the reason why I say that is because I don't know if you're aware, but Turbo was wearing a racist shirt in the house. Now, I wanted to ask you, what's your stance on Turbo as a content creator, and do you have any hot takes on his performances as such?
Well, I really don't like him personally. Like I would never work with him again. I was put on bus. I was not given a choice. I was just told show up on bus at this time, and I had him.
Vos no me llamé.
Sorry. I
No,
didn't
no,
have any
it's
problems with him particularly then. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go, go.
Okay. Okay. But when I was working with him, he had lots of audio issues. He was having like an issue where he kept polling the audience constantly to figure out what to do instead of having a show plan and just running a show. And I made comments to him about it. I was like telling him, and this is part of the problem of taking somebody who's never show run, who doesn't know what he's doing, and just magically putting him in the position that Turbo was put in. But he has like an ego where he could not take any like notes or criticism without just becoming 100% like incensed with anger. And that's where all the problems came between he and I, is because I was criticizing him. Like, I get it. He's a racist guy. He had done some racist things. He said he apologized for it. But, the problem I kept finding with his apologies and accountability is, he would continue to diminish his behavior while doing the same thing Steak did, trying to point out, oh, look, this guy is so much worse than I. So I'm just fine. Or this guy is so much worse than I. So I'm just fine. And that's like a real problem. That doesn't make you a good person to say that somebody else is awful. That doesn't make you taking accountability because somebody else does something shitty. That just means somebody else did a shitty thing and you didn't take accountability. And then constantly trying to excuse himself and saying, well, it was so long ago, or it was this or that, and trying to minimize your bullshit. Well, if you have to minimize what you did, then you're obviously not being accountable for it. Or if you have to make excuses, you're not taking accountability. Someone who's taking accountability is like, I missed a show last night because I have sleeping problems, so I missed a show. And you know what? It's not because I had sleeping problems. It's because I missed a show. Period. I missed a show. Right? That's being accountable for it. Finding ways to mitigate ever missing a show again is taking the steps of accountability and just accepting that as an action. Period. And so I have a real problem with people who can't take accountability. I have a real problem with it. I have a real problem with people who can't take criticism. And like every time that he would get pitted against me, all he did was point out how like people think he's racist. Well, what's that got to do with the argument we're having? Or talk about my microphone being only like 200 something dollars. Like, who cares? Or pointing out how he won fat camp, which is, again, like, who cares? What's that got to do with what we're talking about, bro? And I can't stand people who can't like talk about one point and argue about it, and instead like make a million different points that have not a goddamn thing to do with it. Like, being a serial deflector is just a reflection on you, bud, and it's not good.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That's clever. Serial deflector can never reflect on stuff. Good stuff. But it's like, look, I think when it comes to like the you quit the LCU, right? And I wanted to ask. Okay, first of all, why, in your words, why did you leave the LCU?
Okay, so I woke up. I'll just tell the story because it makes it easier to understand. Like, I woke up and I had a message from Keem that was like, "Hey, what do you think about Melanie Felony being on the show?" And I was like, "Well, I think that she's only here because she said she wanted to be here for Kalo till the end of the month, so he didn't get like a stranger put with him." And he goes, "Okay, Melanie, can you work at 3 a.m.?" And she never answered. And then he goes, "Best of luck." There was like no talking to me whatsoever. I mean, like no conversation. He opened it up like a conversation. I had no conversation. And then it was just best of luck, nothing to talk to me about or anything. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I have no control. If he decides to put me at 2:40 in the afternoon, I have to go at 2:40 in the afternoon. If he changes the show time to 15 minutes, my show's only 15 minutes. If he decides to put me on 4 different shows, I'm on 4 different shows. Like, I have no control of what I do here. I can only stream when he wants me to stream because I'm not allowed to stream on YouTube other than in the LCU. I
That's a
can
lie,
only
by the
join
way.
clubs.
Wait, that's a lie. But we're not. I'm not saying you're lying. Billy's streaming on his show, and Billy's doing rewind. So fuck, that's
It
bullshit. But
depends on who you are. And
of
that's another thing.
course,
All the rules depend on who you are and what's going on at that time. But I have to live by these ever changing, magical, fucking special to you rules. and I have complete constraints all around me. And that's it. Like, I've realized, and 88 Pixel or whatever her name, she's one of the community members there, and she kept saying it's control. I kept thinking, no, it's not about control. And I thought, you know what? You're fucking right. It's not control. Why, as a 43-year-old woman who's owned businesses and run very successful $1 million businesses and sold them and done all these other kind of things, who's ran bigger media businesses than Team has ever even been, like, why am I living under the constraints of some man and whatever he feels like at a day and time I deserve to live under?
Of course.
I love LCU. I love the things. I love the things about it. About like user generated content, which is like an obsession with me. I love the ideas of how they generate content, deliver content, people consume content, and all of those things. I see something that he's doing that will literally become something that is so common in the future. But I don't have to be inside the LCU to love it.
Of course.
I don't have to be inside the LCU to stream. I love streaming. I don't have to do just LCU content. I don't have to do it the way anybody wants me to do at a time or place. Whatever. You know what? Okay, me. And that's what I decided. It was like a split second decision. And like, I'm one of those people, once I decide something, I decided it. Nobody's changing my mind, not a single soul. And like Melanie was like, well, this and that. And I'm like, and she was like, we need to get on a call. And I'm like, I don't need to get on a call with you. I need to get on a call with my husband because I'm going to tell my husband I'm quitting, And, I wish that she hadn't decided that like the only content she would have for a while was lying about me. Because come on, Brat, you could be such a better person. That says so much about you as a human being, let alone a content creator. But what's done is done. But yeah, like I literally just had an epiphany at that moment that I have no control whatsoever, and it affects the hell of my life. Again, being a person with disordered sleep means like, and who has like strokes and other issues like that. I'm literally told by the doctor as a prescription, like I literally have to have 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. And I'm a person with a real life job and kids and stuff. My schedule doesn't change because I get a 3 a.m. slot. There's people who have nothing else going on, and so they can change their entire schedule around, right? But for me, if I get a 3 a.m. show slot, then I still have to wake up at 6. I still have to do all the things I do every single day. And then I also have to be on air at 3 a.m. with the planned show because I'm not one of those losers who's going on air with no plan. Okay? And, I don't have to live with all these complications. That's really all it was.
So with that being said, how, like, how, what do you think of host leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back, Scooter, frolicking around on nature, fucking Turbo leaving? What do you think of all these people that claim
I think Turbo should
independence?
leave and never come back. I think Turbo should leave and he should go bury himself out of the internet and never have access to it again. But that's a
But
whole different situation.
no, but what do you think of these
As far as
people?
the quitting,
But
there's a
what?
lot of things.
Yeah, well, what do you think of people like just hoppitating their dignity? We're going to LCU for
Stupid.
yeah.
Like again, as a person who, if I make a decision, I've made that decision and it's that decision period. Like I get it that people have the right to change their minds, but like when you're doing things like quitting and then 2 days later you're back, or like 2 weeks later you're back, like this quitting and coming and going, people are using quitting as content. Okay. And that's fucking ridiculous. If you're so uncreative and pathetic that you have to use quitting and coming back as content, like, honestly, you shouldn't be a content creator, period.
Well, yeah, because I've always made this argument that no one on in the LCU is content creators. They're not good at making shows. They're not good at preparing stuff, and I feel as though like when you have a co-host, you are just crutching yourself. Like in the more generalist,
Almost none of
yeah,
them. You could take almost any host in the LCU. and you try to get them to do a show, give them like 24 hours, 48 hours to prepare, and put them for 2 hours at their ideal time or like their best time that they perform or whatever, and they will never be able to do a 2 hour solo stream show.
They're not
You can't do
exactly.
that. You're not a content creator. You need to go be somebody's second chair.
Exactly. Cause look at local life. Boogie. You remember, guys? Boogie used to be a YouTuber for 20+ years. Why all of a sudden he's acting like he don't know his hand from his ass?
Yeah,
Look
I don't
at
know how to run a stream. I don't know how to do a stream for 2 hours. I don't know how to do any of these things. Oh, I can't
exactly,
get to an internet. I magically forgot decades of fucking shit I did. It's like, yeah, why are you reborn all of a sudden as a moth with no fucking legs, dude?
exactly. Look at least look at Denmark. Look at Denmark is a perfect example. Denmark was a hot fire person. What happened to him? He got boring. He got drunk. He peed on himself. He peed on his iPhone, and he's gone. Look at Lisi. Look at fucking. Look at all these other hosts. What's the common denominator? Look at Scooter. The common denominator is
Some of these guys you're mentioning, I love them. And I don't understand what happens. Like they go into the LCU and they, because you get to be like the laziest creator possible in the LCU. Like literally they think that because you have ease of access, right? You have all this drama and other people available to you and that access available to you. But instead of like doing great things with that. They don't go on the shows and confront each other. They don't go doing cross anything. They just sit there for 2 hours on their show and lazily just talk about some of the stuff. And I don't understand what happened. Originally, like the LCU right before I went in, you had content creators like Becky who literally would go show to show. If somebody says her name, she's coming on air. Okay, and if she comes on your show, if she came on air, it wasn't just oh yeah, I just wanted to go on another show so people would see my face and maybe your audience would come and donate to my show, right? It would be, I've got something to tell you. This is what's going on.
people
And
don't have. Yeah,
these people are like wasting all of this beautiful and free, simple access they have. And they instead are just like, it's so easy to just like make some like theme, like, oh, today we're Power Ranger theme, but we half-ass dress like a Power Ranger and we just sit there and we just talk.
well, that's the other thing, and I'm not. My point is that you say you're a content creator. When you leave the LCU, you really expose yourself. Initially, it's like fuck the LCU. I hate the LCU. Okay, so what then? What do you have left? And then they come crying back. You know, and that's the thing. I feel as though the LCU should be called LCU Discord. Because all it is just Discord
It is.
calls.
It
That's all
really
it is.
is. Like
No one
it's
has a
like,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, it's okay. Go ahead. I hate that I'm interrupting. I'm Cal. I'm sorry.
No, but I just want to
Yeah.
say real quickly, like no one has the capacity to argue correctly. Look at the best arguers ever. Destiny, Medicare, fucking anyone from hell, even fucking like look at people back in Keen's age. You had receipts, you showed receipts, and then you argue the point. Everything is hearsay, and it gets boring, and it gets annoying, and no one really knows how to do drama. It's either and here's the problem: no one's allowed to record VCs. No one's screenshot the logs. So how do we believe you? How do we know that you are actually right about this situation? So, like, is that in that point? Is that really content in the end of the day?
To add to that, because they have to edge lord donos, right? They have to do stuff that's like so shocking so they could get donos or whatever. that means like a third of the freaking streams have to be private or deleted.
Oh yeah, you
How
remember
can I
the
trust?
yeah,
How can I
yeah,
trust this happened or this happened? Because whether it did or didn't, it's impossible to know because the streams had to be privated.
because that's not good business. That's never good business. When you are being so abhorrently disgusting, it's insane. And then like I see people who talk about the LCU after the fact. It's like a siren song. Oh, I hate it, but I love it at the same time. And then like, and it's crazy. Like you are a woman. You are someone that has a life, a job, a kids, family. How is it that you understand what making the decision is, but then you have people like Turbo, people like fucking hell, Phantom of all fucking people. Phantom. This man wants to talk about like you want to talk about content creation, and I'm sorry, but I want to get your opinion on this. And tell me if I'm wrong. Phantom tried to do the solo dolo thing. Man was boring as fuck. What made him pop? A one night stand with Fupa Cheese. And then him crying his eyes out, saying I was not one of the cool kids. Let me ask you something. If that was your man, hypothetically speaking, if that was your man, or you were dating Phantom, and you found this out, like, how would you feel about his decision making with all of this coming along? And mind you, he's one of the oldest people there, and he don't know better.
He has spent almost his entire time not knowing how to make content. And he didn't even learn through the Fupa situation how to make content. I'm sorry. Like
Exactly.
beyond the fact that I would never, if I wasn't like a very happily taken woman and I was looking for a man and I saw like somebody who that was like the whole like 1 month arc, beginning to end of a dating situation for him, of course I would not date somebody who went through that. That whole thing is both of those people are freaking crazy. I would never want either one of them in my romantic life, right? But here's the thing: how between all of that, right? Have you not learned how to make content?
The man did the man did Metroid. I don't know if you I don't know how deep of a gamer you are, but he tried to do Nintendo Switch streams. Listen, I understand that gaming is such a fucking crutch. If I play a game, that's content. People like people not Turbo, people like Phantom. Should, like he should understand what, and this goes on to show that he doesn't. No, there's no loyalty in the LCU. Let me put that way. You can tell someone something, and they'll snitch on you if it's opportunistic of it. Phantom, and I'm picking on Phantom because this is just so jarring. He's the anti your mama. Your mama goes. Your mama could act a fool. He has these plans. He has whatever. Phantom goes on back in the day, and he just like, well, I don't know, and he talks so slow. He's this, he's that, and like this, and he gets used and abused, and yet he still comes back. I feel as though hosts that come back and forth, I think they like to get used and abused. I think they enjoy it because I know, and I promise I'll let you speak. I apologize. I'm pontificating. The Discord back in the day used to be something. Now it's all locked up with paywalls. So, what in your mind is what's the incentive of coming back if anything?
Um, Most people don't. They don't have the effort to make all of the things, right? Like, you have a channel built for you. You have somebody do all the administrative work on it and everything like that. If somebody needs to write an appeal or anything, all of those things are taken care of, right? Like, literally all you have to do is, if you're the guy who does some stuff on the streams for your show, is like make a thumbnail and post it and schedule it.
So
And
it's just
you have
laziness,
access.
basically.
It's like, well, and here's the thing is because none of them are thinking, right? They're just, I can go on air and I can just talk about what the latest is that's happening. So you don't have to think about it, right? Like, whereas if they were doing really well and making content, they would, and the thing about being on the outside, okay, well, I have to figure out some way for people to find my channel. I have to figure out some way to decide which other outlets I'm going to use to have like advertising for my channel or community for my channel. Me personally, I'm not going to have a personal Discord. Some people choose to have community that's circled onto a Discord. Like, you don't have to decide on any of these things because you have instant access if you're inside of the LCU to an entire community that's already there, right? So you're guaranteed people to show up no matter what, and you don't have to do jack shit but appear at the time when you're supposed to appear. Whereas, like, on the outside, you have to create that a channel. You have to decide, like, what kind of show am I going to build? Like, what am I going to do? And, most people, that leave the LCU, they decide that they're just going to do like a show just like they did in the LCU, that for 2 hours they basically just talk, right? And there's not anything real planned about it at all. And then they get tired because, you know, you have to push yourself. Nobody else is pushing you. Whereas if you're in the LCU, somebody else is going to push you to make sure that you go that once a day for all the days that you have to go. You have punishments. You have somebody else to tell you what to do. You have somebody else who creates limitations or constraints and everything else. You don't have to be your own motivation and guide. Being on the outside, whether you're, a fringe LCU content creator on the outside, or whether you're like somebody who has nothing to do with this and you're some kind of other content creator, right? No matter what, you have to find the content, you have to make a plan, you have to plan a show or however you're going to deliver it. You have to, make a community for you. You have to build an audience. You have to decide how you're going to market yourself. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And most of that work is taken out of your hands when you're inside the LCU. So a lot of creators that go back eventually, it's because all that work is done for you and they're tired. They don't want to do it.
So two more things, and you've been a lovely guest, Kylie. You've been a blessing. Thank you so much for your time. Two things. So I wanted to ask you. We were speaking before the show came on. Was asking if you had watched my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were speaking about how these shows help you prepare and make you better. Can you elaborate on that real quick for me?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, before I was even in the LCU, I watched, commenters, reactors, and detractors that were outside of the LCU who were using the LCU as their topic. And of course, during the entire time I did, because you find like you only have the perspective from your eyes, right? That you're experiencing. But when you use other people's experiences that they're talking about, perspectives, commenters, reactors, and detractors, you add to your perspective ability because you hear their thoughts and you hear from their perspective, and it adds to your understanding, and it adds to how much you can think and how wide of an area, and it even tells you like, oh, I see where I could really improve, because I could watch myself and the same stream I'm on a million times and never notice the same thing that you would notice or that somebody else would notice. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing for like when I'm inside and I'm thinking about, okay, well, I've got this person I'm upset with, but what am I upset with them for? I know about one or two things, but how do I support that more? Well, I can watch the commenters, reactors, detractors, and I could even watch, my other my other shows that are within the LCU at that time, and say, okay, I see how this person sees this. I see how this person sees. Oh, wow. So not only do these three things that upset me, but there's also this, there's also this, there's also this. And being able to have that's the same thing as working on any kind of team, right? Even if you have somebody that's like a horrible employee on your team, it's always another um, person's perspective, right? So whether it's a commenter, reactor, or detractor outside the LCU, their perspective is extremely useful because they see from a very different filter. They see from their own experiences, and it adds to what I can see if I can be able to watch them and listen and understand.
Would you consider me a detractor of sorts, or how?
No, I think you're more of a commentator and then sometimes a reactor, but
Okay.
mostly you're a commentator. I don't see very many people as a detractor. It's very rare that I see somebody as a detractor. I didn't even see Yo Mama as a detractor. I see him as a PR agent within the LCU.
Um, no, because Tommy calls me a detractor for some fucking reason. I said, bro, I've been a fan of yours since COVID. What the fuck am I talking about? But
Well, it's just like Turbo talked about me one day watching bringing I think it was the other thing to talk about, and he's all like detractors. Well, it's not a detractor. Hell, she doesn't even pay attention to the LCU except as it's related to the girl world. A lot of people don't understand the distinction between commenters, reactors, and detractors, right? Uh, I mean, like a lot of people don't understand what is content, or in the great words of Xylee, what do you do?
oh my god, fucking Zali's fucking. Zali's cool and everything, but Zali, my guy, please. uh, okay, now that you're independent, now that you have struck on your own, how would you define your content? What is your content? What is your content, and how do you see your content going in the next year or so? If you could see that far.
No, I've definitely made a plan. Um, so like this week that I've had and next week are really what I'm calling dress rehearsal weeks. So mostly I'm just chit chatting with the audience and doing a little bit of commentary um, on what's going on in the LCU. They're really very, very small bits because I mean I'm only doing 2 hours. I don't know how people do. I think that 2 hours is too much. I could go like all day long. I could literally just be on air
Yeah, I
all
can
day
see
long.
that, buddy. I can see that. No, you're very spirited, buddy. I can see that.
But I want to have more than one show, right? Like I don't see myself as just one show kind of person. Like I definitely want a show that's going to be the Cat Lady show, and it's definitely going to be centered on like LCU and its adjacent creators, right? I want to do the news show I always said I wanted to do, where it talks about very quickly all of the shows that happen in a day on the LCU. But then I also want to have the ability to talk about all of the hosts and the creators, whether they're inside the LCU or outside the LCU, because I think that talking about the hosts who have left that live outside of the LCU still, a lot of them still do content about the LCU. I think that they should be talked about too. They're part of that ecosystem, right? And the same thing with like commenters, reactors, and detractors to the LCU. I think it's all part of an ecosystem and they all have to be discussed. And that's what I want. Is like I want it to be like how you used to watch on the TV. Like they would have the like God, what's that? Entertainment news, right? And it would
You
talk about
yes,
all
yes.
the shit going on, right? I want it to be like that, but it's talking about the specific ecosystem, right? I want to be the entertainment news of this LCU and surrounding ecosystem. And, I want to talk a little bit about, a little bit about Krama, a little bit about Grow Up in the ways that it touches the LCU, right? So, and that's what I want. But I also want to have a show where it's just about me. It's not about any of that stuff, where I do some wild shit. So I'm going to have a kick show. So I have the ability to do some extra wild shit, and I don't have to worry about bots. I mean, like the other day, I had on a nude, like a skin colored prom dress, and I had like this beautiful bubble border thing I had created, but because of it, it made me look nude. Well, on YouTube, the bot could see that and go, "Oh no, this is gonna get struck down. This lady's naked," right? Well, I can do that on Kick, and I don't have to worry about the bot thinking that I'm naked because I'm in a prom
Exactly.
dress. So I'm going to do a show on Kick that is all about me. It's not about anybody else, and it's where I do fun and wild for good shit. Um, so I definitely have a plan, and it's several different shows. Um, some of it, I'm slowly. I also have a show that'll be starting a little later after I get these two built. On the 1st of October or August, I'm going to start doing it, and it'll be like a once a week show. It's actually part of somebody else's network, but it doesn't really matter. None of that matters because it's not very connected to anything. And it's literally just going to be about drama and fights. That's all it's about. Internet drama and fights. And I'm going to not only talk about just online, like all creators ever, and like really like trending drama fights, but also bringing people on who are creators and having them just continue their drama and fights. That's all it's about. It's like a toxic tea time kind of show. And that, I mean, obviously, I love to be in drama and fights, right? I don't get to do any of that stuff in my real life. So let me tell you, as a streamer, all of that shit gets to come out. And that show, that's all it's about. That's all it's about is the drama and the fights and the arguing.
So, let me ask you this: you're building a quote unquote media empire of sorts, all streaming shows.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm
It
not going to compare me to Joe Rogan as far as like
no
Joe
no no
Rogan's
no.
like obviously very popular, but in the way where he has the Joe Rogan show, he does the UFC thing, he has another show. I want to be just like any other talent. I want to be able to have multiple things that I do, some of it that, feeds into other stuff, but like, I don't want to just be an LCU creator. I don't want to leave the LCU and that's all I am. I have so much more ability, and it's stuff that I was never allowed to do under LCU. So why wouldn't I do that? You
Oh,
know?
what I was gonna hit on was like, when you doing all these things, have you ever considered getting co-hosting for your thing? Like, for example, bring Geezer back into the fold and stuff, or would you have another person in mind that's not LCU?
I'm having a hard time hearing you, but like, I mean, are you talking about Keem trying to bring me back?
No, no, no. I was saying that would you want Geezer back into the fold?
Gigi's so much happier outside of the LCU. I don't. Anybody could co-host with Gigi, but I don't know that if she went back in, she would just become the glazing Gigi. Does that make sense? Because she wouldn't have anybody to hold her tail.
Got you. No, because I just
Yeah,
figured you have all these shows. I figured you would do co-hosting and stuff.
I
Okay,
definitely plan. Gigi and I and a whole lot of other. I have lots of plans to do panels and streams with people. Like Gigi and I have already talked about it. We haven't built what days because I already have so much that I'm already doing. Right, trying to get organized and done. But like we are definitely going to do panels together. Right, whether it's on her channel, whether it's on one of my channels, like no matter what, I have other people that I'm planning to do stuff with, even just on their channels. Like, trust me, I have some really fun plans. Scooter, I told him the other day, I said, look, you need to pick out a few people you want to do it, but we need to do one night, like maybe once a month or something. We're the pieces to the board game, right? Like all the hosts are. And we pick out the game, we're the board game, and the audience are the players, right? They all pick their host that they're the team of or whatever, and we're their pieces that they're the players of the board game. And I have so many great multi-panel ideas and stuff like that. So it's now, yes, I'm definitely going to work with other people. It's not like I'm trying to be like a one woman enterprise where I never work with other people. No, I have too much
okay.
fun co-hosting. I love too many people online and too many streamers.
All right then. Well,
Yeah,
Cat Lady, you've been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. If
absolutely.
her link is in the chat. Go follow Cat Lady. Give her the love. Give her give her all the admiration. She does fine work. And yes, if you have any other projects you want to plug besides your thing, I mean, if there's anything on the horizon you're gonna do, please do so. Promote. Do your thing, buddy.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you interviewed me. I would love to come up and hang out more too some other time. So
Thank you
you
so
just let me
much.
know.
No problem. Thank you, Cat Lady. Have a good day.
You too.
Yay, that's Cat Lady. Woo! That shit was magnificent. That shit was pretty good. Now, if anyone wants to, oh, I kicked Tony Rigatoni out. 1 second. Let me invite this motherfucker back. I kicked him because homeboy. 1 second. Let me. Yeah. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, cool. I kicked him because this man was like fucking killing my guests. I'm like, no, we're not doing this. But we're not talking about no balls. But don't derail me, God darn it. So that's Cat Lady. Um, it was one of the best streams, one of the best guests I've had in a long time. Uh, I think it was very informative. I think it was pretty good. I mean, comparatively, when I was dealing with oh, actually, let me what the fuck is the invite link? Hold on 1 second. I'm going to post the link. Invite to the Huggy Show. Wait 1 second. Let me get the thing. Hold on. Invite the voice. No, I need this. I need this. 1 second. I'm all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second. So copy here. One here. Let me sign in here. Yeah, so right now this is an open panel. We vibing, we cruising, we're doing wherever the case is. Yeah, let me pin this real quick. Currently, right now, as I was doing the interview, I'm also keeping an eye on the World Cup game, which so far is tied up a little bit, but that's fine. But I will say that having an LCU host, a former LCU host, being very candid about their experiences with it. Let's see something. Okay, real quick, I needed to wait. Real quick, I need to see something. This caught my eye because, like, when I was interviewing Callie, and then Tony came in, he reminded me of something real quick. With this thumbnail that's happening right here, I have to be Ruth and Keemstar. Whoever did, I think Tony did the thumbnail. That right there is really good work. At least it's not AI. At least it was created and stuff. I wanted to see some. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to show his thing. Let me see what. At least this man has a wire controller. Pretty cool.
We're gonna see what happens. What's up? How you doing, guys in chat? Gonna be trying a new character and Brawl. We're gonna see what's going on with this.
There you go. Did I join? Wait, hold on. Let me get this off. Did you? Oh, did you join Twiggy's farewell? Twiggy had farewell. What the hell happened with Twiggy? Hold on. Let me double check something. Am I clean? I'm clean. Okay, 1 second. Maisie's in waiting. 1 second, Maisie. Welcome, amazing Maisie, to the show. Welcome. How you doing? Thank you for coming in.
Oh, well, I'm aging just like you are, right?
Well,
My eyesight's going, my body's going, everything's falling apart, right?
it's the way
Cat
aging
lady,
works. But thank you for coming in. What's on your mind?
cat lady is beautiful. I love when she takes her Coke bottle glasses off. She's a gorgeous person,
I
and
agree.
a lot of the people that are employed by Keem tend to either have like ADHD or some other sort of mental issue that might be preventing them from being successful, right? Or they have substance abuse, like Denmark, right? I have no idea why he hired him back. Do you?
It's not a desperation. The man's drowning in bullshit. Denmark was about to be this close to doing Omegle. That's how dire it was, I think.
And that's younger than I know. I'm not really familiar with that kind of stuff, right? So I am 52, Heidi. And what I've been following the most in the last like month and a half is the bricks and minifigs scandal. But I'm still following what's going on with LCU as well. And I'm just like, I don't know what I don't know what is going on with Keem that he is this incompetent, right? And he's ripping off his fans, right? So um, we're all getting ripped off, and now the money's drying up, and he doesn't understand why. And it's because we've been ripped off, right?
Yes, no, I agree. I mean, everyone who put their time into the LCU is like, yeah, I feel bad for him.
Well, and on top of it, he keeps putting all this faith into Xylee. And Xylee is so offensive to not only her peers, but the audience that this is the last client facing job she's ever going to hold. She's done.
You think so?
Absolutely. I have a 22-year career in IT, customer facing sort of interactions where I was like writing proposals for companies, staffing. I worked for Toshiba. I worked for Idemia. I was doing, police agencies, all kinds of stuff. And I'm telling you straight up, and plus I have a huge performance background because my father is an organist who has played for 4 popes. Okay. My mother was a soprano in her lifetime, right? So basically, I've been around performers my entire life, and I have never seen anything like this before. This is a fetish community, and Keem has no business background. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I mean, listen, for someone to stay as long as they have, you must be doing something right, and these are just facts. Because he went through fucking content new after content new after content new after content new. He understands when to stay the fuck away from people and have him do his own thing. The times when Keem goes to war with people, truly go war with people, it's dead and gone. He could have went
No,
to
but
war with.
he also trusts cast members like Xylee to make that decision for him. And that was really bad because she is uneducated and doesn't know what she's talking about. So, for example, I got ripped off, right? And I don't think he would have cared otherwise, other than to appease her.
Okay, yeah, was that because of the sub?
I don't know, dude. I've spent like $200 in membership fees over the last year, and I've only gotten 2 days in Discord.
So wait, what was the issue that you had with Keem and stuff?
Can you repeat that for me?
What was your issue with Keem at the time? Because you were saying that there was an issue with Keem.
I didn't particularly have an issue with Keem. Apparently, Xylee had an issue with me.
Okay, Zally, yes.
And she rallied all of her little buddies in the network, like Nightmare and what was that other guy's name that was on live? Who's the other the other dude? The one that always wants to fight everybody, right? And
That's
wraps up.
almost everyone.
Yeah, so all of these hosts had a problem with me because of Xylee, because I pointed out that she was a problem. And that was like over a year ago, right? And I paid for the memberships and I did not get what I paid for. I mean, at the very least, he could have like refunded me, right?
He could have, but he didn't because why? In his mind.
I don't know. Well, he's a cheap bastard, is what I'm thinking, right? Anyway, I just
He
wanted to
doesn't
touch
care.
base real quickly and let you know that um, the entire network is falling apart. And they've, even just in the last 2 weeks, their donations are severely down.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
People are getting sick of it, you know? We're getting sick of being ripped off. We wanted to support an improv troupe, and here we are, where this guy has clearly expressed to us that he's just into fetishes, and most of us are not on the same page.
I've had a long history with Zally Gets Real. From small commentary and on. Zally has a moral compass, but that moral compass could be paid off. And right now she's just going through the motions. She's trying to get an easy paycheck because doing streams by herself anymore is just trash. And I don't even think her community came to support her. It's just bad. And like I said, the memberships, you could do as much as you want with suing, make a big sting of it. Team don't give a fuck. Team got your money.
Are you kidding me? I'm not wasting any money on this bullshit. Are you kidding me? And plus, Xylee, okay, she may think she has a moral compass, but she is acting the way she's acting, right? She's ripping off consumers, period.
Yeah, she don't give a fuck. She could rip as much as she wants. It's like it says this, but I'm not saying it's good. It's just a culture, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I don't see any future prospects for her. I don't see how, because, okay, I don't know if you know anything about like the Hollywood culture, but pretty much once you ruin your reputation, you will not get anything after that. Like look at I went to high school with Rose McGowan, right? She ruined herself by coming out against Harvey Weinstein, and she might have had a credible claim. I don't know. I really don't know. What I know about her is that she grew up in a cult. She was living with her agent when she was in high school with me. She dated Marilyn Manson, who has a Nazi tattoo on his body, and then ultimately started doing business with Quentin Tarantino, and then came out against Harvey Weinstein, who was a huge Hollywood head, right? And that was at a time when they were calling out everybody. So a lot of us are confused as to who was a legitimate claim and who was just framed, because we saw a lot of it. We saw a lot of false allegations.
Okay, okay. Let's focus here. So here's the thing with Xylee. Like I said, the Xylee will do stuff. Will go against behavior before she came to LC, and now she's just excusing it because it's easy money.
Who's
And
Octavia?
who is that?
I thought you just said that.
I said Xylee excuses behavior
Oh, okay.
now, which she never did previously. Because when she was in small commentary, she would just denounce it. Anything with allegations of predator stuff or just evil nonsense. Now she's okay in it because she's part of a network. It's how it goes. But like I said, overall, as you can see with the way the host and the network is, sooner or later it's going to be knocked down, dragged out. And nothing would surprise me if in August 1st he burns the whole thing down and brings a select few hosts back into a new show.
Okay, but do you know why Xylee is actually mad at me? Do you know?
Pray tell, explain it for my audience, please.
Okay. So there was an episode a little over a year ago in which Greeky was modding the chat and told one of the users on the chat, one of the, people that was just like typing in chat, right? That she should be raped. And I called it out and said, you can't have that person as a mod if she's making that kind of claim. That's irresponsible. It's dangerous. And so Xylee has held that against me ever since. Greeky comes from Girl World, by the way.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
but
she still has mod rules throughout the network as well.
they're going to keep hosts because they're going to keep their mods because they feel comfortable with the mods. Like again, it's unfortunate, but if you people are just viewers. You could say what you want, but if they want to stick to their mods, they'll stick to their mods.
Yeah, but that's very dangerous because you're actually putting your audience at risk. I mean, I've literally had people show up to my house. What was that guy's name? Purple Flurp? That's a dude, right? That was chasing around Buff Weep.
I think so.
Yeah. So somebody came around my house in September last year and kept talking about Purple Flurp and circling my condo.
I mean, that's very unfortunate, but like I said, they don't care. And at the ending of the day, they are going to go and do what they want because they figure they have unlimited milk and honey. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, their behavior is incredibly dangerous, not only to themselves as performers, but to their audience members. It's very dangerous what they're doing.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna drop because I would rather focus on the Reckless Ben stuff right now. I'm so sick to death of Keem and his dented personality. Like he's clearly delayed, shall we say.
all right then. Thank you so much, Macy, for coming in. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, that's Maisie, everyone. I'm like, yeah. So, like I said, everyone has a thing to them, and well, I think when it comes to the LCU, you're gonna have people you're gonna have people do stupid shit like this, and it's like I said, hosts are going to go down, and they're going to now want to be part of this show if it's not conducive, because like I said, it's going to be bad for them when they want to do content creation and they get addicted to people wanting to watch them. And they're going to get addicted to the money and the adulation. But the moment they do it by themselves, they can't do it. It's nigh impossible. It's always going to be something. And again, do I think it's going to survive past September? I doubt it. Not November, because in November, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to be playing fucking Grand Theft Auto. It's going to be on everyone's mind on that. 1 second.
Everything hallelujah. Everything hallelujah.
But I will say this. You know, there was something I wanted to address that someone had showed me a little short where, you know, this person was accusing me of being cat lady may whatchamacallit, show that she has an exit plan, and she showed that she knows what she wants to do, and I think that's great. And I think there should be more people like her to go and have that plan if you want to do content creation. So hopefully, former co-host and new co-hosts alike, if you really want to do this stuff, I think you should make it a point to, you know, plan stuff out. Like, go with the flow. And ask yourself, what do you want to do? What is it that you want to accomplish? And look, when it goes to collaborations, collaborate. I would still argue, don't do a network. Don't be a part of a network. Be independent. Be part of a network and stuff like that. Especially if it's just a couple of hours. Exactly, Graham. just do it. Just do it by yourself if you can, or just have a plan in mind. And I feel as though, like, if you interview certain LCU hosts, I don't think they have it in them. I don't think they have it in them to give you a full-fledged plan. And I did see some stuff that Scooter was like, "Oh, you're going to you're going." He came to nature, and he was like, "Oh, you have to pay a signing bonus for it." But I really do think that if push came to shove and there was a little bit more guaranteed money on the play, people will sell their moral compass for stuff. People will go ahead and they will decide to go on and go back to the LCU, go back on that grind, if you want to call it a grind. But we'll see. But we'll see how it goes. Like, I do hope, and I do hope that it. I do hope I do get more opportunities to have interviews with people, and I hope that I do hope that more people are willing to come on the show and be candid as Cat Lady is, because I think it was great, and I can't wait for more stuff. And yeah, you know, hell, my one of my target interviews would be your mama. Even if he couldn't do it because of LCU stuff, because I know that if the LCU burns down, he don't want nothing to do with the anything. But I think it'll be interesting to pick his brain and have a conversation like I did with Cat Lady and stuff. 1 second. Oh yeah, Copy Cab was I know Copy Cab. Yeah, Copy Cab might be one of the bright spots there is. I know he was there before. 1 second. Yeah, I know he did something before, but like I said, I think when it comes to people not people that not used to content creation, I think people are 1 second. I'm trying to find this thing right here. Let's see. Because I just wanted to see something in terms of. Now, well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on select model trims or get a low $199 per month lease on Ultima. Sorry about that, fellas. Let's see, go away, lock those things. Relax. Heavy Diva face. Look how wild. You know what? I got this. Okay, cool. Well, guys, I do appreciate everyone coming in and being great sports of this stuff. Have a good chance of Boost to gold if you can find him. Boost is around, but Boost is a national chat. I mean, if I want Boost, I could go. If I want Boost, I think Boost wouldn't have a problem with it. But since I was on the other show with him, I think I got a full feeling of him and stuff. But yes, guys, thank you guys for the support, the love, the admiration. It was very nice for everyone to support. Thank you to Cat Lady. Also, why I'm all in piss at Keem. It wasn't just my channel, as everyone kicked me out of everything. For a great stream, I'll be here more. Thank you, Graham. All support the stream. Spread the word. It's been very wonderful. I'm gonna have you be redirected to Buff Weeb. Stay safe, and yeah, just I'll try to do